Hello, hello, hello. Andrew here. Today I would like to teach you how to use the factor theorem to find the zeros of this polynomial function. Now, what is the factor theorem? That's a good question. Let's take a look. So the factor theorem says that the polynomial x minus k, which in this problem is going to be represented as this, is a factor, then, of a certain polynomial function, f of x, which is represented as this, if and only if the function's value when evaluated at the value of k is equal to 0. Now this is basically a remainder theorem, okay, that if you can identify your k value, which is basically what in this problem? I mean, it's nice and simple, right? The x lines up, this is negative, that lines up, and then 1, right? So k is equal to 1. So basically, if you were to take 1, instead of it being k, if you were to put 1 there, if you were to then plug 1 into each value of x, and you solved it, if that is 0, if you then solve it and it's 0, then you know that this thing is a factor. So watch. 1 cubed is going to be 1, and then times 4 is 4, right? 1 times 7 is 7, right? Plus 3. So what does this work out to be? It works out to be 0, right? So what that tells me is that this is a factor. All right, once I know that this is a factor, I can easily find the 0 by just setting this equal to 0, right? X minus 1 equals 0. Solve that for x, add 1 on both sides, and you're going to realize that x is going to be equal to 1. So that is a factor, all right? Now, that's all fine and dandy, okay? But that only tells me one of the zeros. This is a cubic function, and we might have a total of 3 real zeros. I mean, it depends if they're imaginary or not. But I should be getting 3 different x values. Okay, whether they're all real or some are imaginary will totally depend on the problem. So in order to now, work from here, what I really have to do is I have to take this then factor that I know is a factor because I just kind of proved it using this factor theorem. And I have to divide it then into this polynomial, and I have to see what the quotient then is. And maybe then I can factor the quotient. Okay, here, let's take a look. Bam. So this is really the problem. I'm going to take this function and divide it by this. Okay, and I'm going to use synthetic division to help me out because the denominator is a linear function, right? It's not x squared. If this was x squared, throw this thing in the garbage because it ain't going to work. You can't do synthetic division. You have to do long division. So since this is a linear function, I'm going to use synthetic division. Now, how do we do this? Well, first you got to figure out the number of columns you're going to need here. And in order to do that, you take the highest power of x in your numerator, you add 1 to it, and the total there, which is 4, tells you the number of columns. So inside the first one goes x, the coefficient of the x cubed, then that's coefficient x squared, x, and then your constant. So let's just plug them in. Coefficient of the x cubed term is a 4. Coefficient of the x squared, oh, I don't see it. No big deal. Plug in a 0. Coefficient of the x term is a -7, and then your constant is a 3. Great. Now what do we do with the denominator? Well, it turns out that we're going to take this divisor, x minus 1, set it equal to 0, solve that for x, and whatever the result is here gets plugged in, meaning a positive 1 gets plugged in right there, 1. Cool? Now let's just perform this following series of steps. Drop the 4 straight down. Don't write anything in that box. That's why it's red. 4 times 1, then, you're going to take the bottom number, multiply it by the outside number, and you're going to put the result, 4, in the next adjacent cell. Then you're going to add the column up for a total of 4. Then you do it again. Bottom number times the outside number, 4, add it on up, -3, then take -3, multiply by the 1, put it in this column, -3, add it on up, and 0. And lo and behold, this value down here represents the remainder. When you take a factor, well, we don't know if it's a factor, but if you take this polynomial and you divide it into now this polynomial, if you get a remainder, then you know that this is going to be a factor. And the factor is always, it can't be squared again. It has to be like x minus k as it said. All right? So I know that's a factor, blah, 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 blah. I already proved it anyway before by using the remainder theorem, but this is now just doing it with synthetic division. But the advantage of doing the synthetic division is that it also gives you the quotient, or in other words, it gives you the coefficients of the quotient. So remember that this represents the constant term, this represents the coefficient of the x term, that represents the coefficient of the x squared term. It's not going to perfectly match. I know this column represented x cubed, but that's only for the top row. All right? So basically what we found is that the result, or the quotient, is going to be 4x squared plus 4x minus 3. Cool? Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the perspective here a little bit. You can look at this as a value over 1, right? You got two fractions separated by an equal sign, so you can do a cross multiplication. So what you're going to do is you're just going to basically, well, first I got to make a little alteration. First, you're going to take this thing and just cross multiply it. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I want to show you something. That basically, this function is going to be equal to something on this side, in which case I know one of the factors already, but now I might have to factor this thing. Now you don't have to factor it. I mean, sometimes it's easy, right? If you notice this is a quadratic equation, so to factor it, you're thinking about maybe two numbers that multiply to -3 but add to -4, but wait a minute, you can't actually use that because you have a non-zero value. Excuse me, a non-1 value. If it was 0, that wouldn't be quadratic at all. But you don't have a 1. If this were a 1, then you could have done it that way. All right? Then you could have done it that way. But, you know, in this problem, it's a little more complicated than that. So, remember, we don't have to factor this because the problem is find the zeros. So really, I'm thinking, okay, got a quadratic. How do I find the zeros of a quadratic? In other words, how do I find the values of x that make the function go to 0? Oh, right. Our equation, -b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over then 2a. All over 2a. So what you need to do then is identify the a, b's, and the c's, right? This is ax squared. What the heck? Ax squared plus bx. That's a weird b. Plus bx plus c. Okay? So the a value in this problem is going to be a 4. The b value is also going to be a 4. And the c value, carefully, you got to incorporate the sign, it's also going to be a -3. Cool. Now what you can do algebraically, literally plug in these values into this equation and then just do the algebra. All right. Just to save a little bit of time, I'm not going to do that method. Instead, I want to show you something cool in the calculator. I'm going to run a program to do this, and this is called the quadratic program. If you don't have this program in your calculator, take a look in the description below. I'm going to leave you a link to like a 3 or 4 minute video that's going to save you a lot of time. Watch, because instead of going through this whole bunch of mumbo jumbo over here, watch how fast this is. Ready? Let's run the program. What's your a value for? What's your b value for? What's your c value? -3, and boom, done. Isn't that cool? Those are now the zeros. Okay, so basically, I also know that x will be equal to 0.5. In other words, the function will cross the x-axis at 0.5. And the function will also cross the x-axis at -1.5. So I have 3 real zeros. That's kind of cool. Now, you know, you can also graph this thing and see it visually, right? Graph this function. Graph the 4x cubed. So 4x cubed. 4x cubed minus 7x plus 3. And hit graph. Look. Let's zoom in a little bit. How many times does it cross the x-axis? 3 times, right? Now look, -1, -2. It looks like it's halfway in between -1 and -2. Oh, wait a minute. That's -1.5 roughly, right? Well, it's exactly, I mean, we calculated it. From the graph, you might not be able to tell perfectly, but you can see it lines up nicely. And then this also crossed the graph at +1/2. Boom. And it also crosses at 1. Boom. Right? You can also use the calculator here. Let me zoom out a step. Let me zoom out. And what you can do is you can do second calc. If you want to find those values of the zeros, select number 2. And now, let's say you want to analyze this point. You want to find the x value here where it crosses the x-axis. What you have to do is you have to bring this cursor left-bound, meaning left of the point. So just bring it somewhere left of the point. Keep clicking. Well, I went a little too far, but that's fine. I mean, you could even be off the screen. It doesn't matter. But hit enter. Then you have to go right-bound, meaning you got to be right of the point. Okay? Then hit enter. And then you have to guess, right? Now, you don't have to get too crazy. Your cursor probably won't be right on the point, but that's okay. You just got to be close enough. You got to give the calculator a guess so it doesn't like go into, you know, panic mode and it's got to make so many calculations. You're kind of telling it where to calculate, all right? So hit enter and look. Boom. The 0. -1.5. It's exactly what we got. All right. So there's plenty of ways to do this. If you have the benefit of a calculator, you definitely want to use it if, well, you can, but also to just even check yourself. All right? Because you want to check yourself before you wreck yourself. And with that, I'm out. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Please remember to help us out and subscribe. Maybe even tell some of your classmates. And my dog is barking right now. I hope the mailman isn't here, but he might be. He might be approaching. He hears the freaking truck like a mile down the road. I'm like, he starts barking. 20 minutes later, the mailman's here. I'm like, what? What kind of hearing do you... I can barely hear someone in the next room. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Did I say that already? Where am I? I'll see you in the next video. Take care.